And just like that, we're back like umqolo. And just like that, we're back again. Hello, hello, hello there. If this is your first time actually coming across this account, please do subscribe, like, comment, and share. If you're a regular Jagular, you're actually coming back for some more. You like, you comment, you share. Thank you so much for actually coming back. And today I'm not out. I actually was out, but I forgot my tripod. I did a makeshift with what I had, but there was so much gloom. But like when I took pictures and I took videos, it was fine. But like when it was time for me to actually make content, it just was not giving. And I was like, you know what, it's fine. I'll just eat and just like make, just normal content, and I'll actually come back. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of rain, so I'm not actually going to be out today. So today you just take in the car, okay? Because also like my room doesn't have much light. My mom's house does not have light, guys. She has jacketed curtains, and I think that's why. Like she has jacketed curtains, and it's dark in there. That's what she wants. She wants to keep the light out unless you actually open it, which is fine. Anyways, we're back again. I want us to actually speak about unemployment, the death that actually happened in Cartrack, which is Ugcinadladla, that young lady that actually passed away at toilets, the workplace yakhe. The government, how the government actually is in cahoots with the private sector so that they actually make our lives a living hell as long as they are able to pocket some change at the end of the day, right? Because all of it is interlinked. All of this is connected. It's connected. You know that video of that timer? It's like they were together there at the crooked place. It's the government entity and the private entity are always together at the crooked place. Trust me, especially when it comes to South Africa. They are together at the crooked place. All right. So a very horrifying thing happened this week. I think it was this week, no? Yeah, it was this week. Ugcinadladla passed away as toilets in their workplace. So this workplace is Cartrack, and I have heard the worst things about them. Horrifying, right? And before I actually get into it, let me start with, if you follow me on TikTok, you know that I have the saying that I always repeat on so many of my videos, especially if it's regarding independent Mali or funding or whatever, which is saying, Thomas Sangara, that whoever pays you owns you. Whoever feeds you, actually, owns you, right? And because it's literally, it's so true. It's one of them, like it's gospel to me, because there's nothing as true as that. And if political parties get their funding from these private entities, and this is how Alliance Yabo is built. If political parties are funded by these private entities, those private entities are not funding it from the goodness of their heart. They don't even have hearts, right? There is no free lunch, especially in politics. They're actually bribing their way to bend the rules. Now, this is why some other political parties are literally a reflection of their funders. If their funders are, against minimum wage, they are also going to be against minimum wage. If their funders are against social grants, they are going to be against the social grants. If their funders are against BEE, because Bafuna Ukukasha only white people and their company, they too are also going to be against BEE because they are a reflection of their funders. Yeah, hence Thomas Sangara, whoever feeds you owns you, because now they're going to tell you, this is what I want and this is what you need to reflect, because we are giving you money, right? Cool. So now, mind you, especially with this BE, so this is Action SA and DA, especially like that, I can actually think out of my head. I think no Bosa and everything, but like they're not really a threat. Like Action SA and the DA, very, very dangerous, because they actually are a threat. Anyways, so ANC ke yona, right? is for minimum wage, it's for BEE, it's for this, it's for that. You know, on paper, it's amazing. However, the ANC has a head of state that's a billionaire. Problem. This is a problem because those private entity gurus are his friends. They rub shoulders in the same spaces. So this is a problem because he is going to unfortunately be very lenient towards them, because Uchom is like, he probably also has the same, you know, policies, even though he is head of state of, you know, the state, and also he head the ANC. Now, if you've ever worked for private companies, you would know that even though they might say, you know, we are family, they're not your family. Management, definitely not your friends. They're not your friends. HR, I can even say that's probably your enemy. Okay? But HR will always reflect what management is saying. But management and HR are always in cahoots. So when you're going to HR, your manager has already filled them in. That's just how it is in the private entities. That's just how it is with businesses. That's just how things are, right? People also, again, there's a lot of discourse on, you know, who to befriend and blah, blah, blah. Just get there and work and go. I wouldn't ever actually advise you to do that, because they are also going through the same thing that you're going through. And two of my best friends that I even have here on, like, tatted on my hand, I met at work. So I would never actually say shut out, you know, friendships that you can possibly find at work. I know this actually took quite of a different route, but it's fine. We're going back now. So now, how does the government, you know, get in cahoots with the private entities? Ukuze sibe kule meko sikuyo, where there are people that are even, you know, passing away at workplaces. The government needs to constantly keep the unemployment high. The government will not provide jobs. They will not provide jobs. And they can. And they can. That's the thing. They can. Look now, they're about to actually hire 10,000 labor inspectors because of the March and March, so that they can actually see if, you know, there are any, you know, illegal immigrants that are actually hired. Why was that not done before? Why was that not done before? Why did things have to actually come? So they can, but they don't, because unemployment needs to constantly be at an all-time high so that these private businesses continue to mistreat us. That is why they pay these political parties. That's why they pay them, so that they can be able to actually create an alliance. Yokba, this actually stays high so that you are not able to just leave. Because what are you going to do? What is your, like, how are you going to pay for your car? How are you going to eat? How are you going to pay rent? You think you're going to get a job next week? You're not. Look around. Doctors that just graduated are sitting at home. So what are you going to do? You're going to stay. You are going to stay. While your rights are being violated, you are going to stay. And these companies also bank on us not knowing our labor rights, right? Because I just, like, when I read that, like, her sick leave was, you know, rejected so many times, that actually, sick leave is emergency leave. It's not something you apply, okay? Even when you don't have any days, like per South African labor law, you can still take sick. It just won't be paid. That's it. It just won't be paid. Now, if, for instance, you are sick frequently and there's a trend, that is something that the business is more than welcome to actually really put it out to you that, listen, we are seeing a trend here. What is going on? In which, in that case, they'll have to deep dive on what exactly is wrong with you. You know, is there a note that you can come from your doctor that actually really proves that, you know, you're not just really just staying out because, you know, you went out on weekends? You understand? Because it also depends on what type of trends these are. If you are constantly absent on Friday and Mondays, that is very, what are the chances that those are the only days that you're sick? You understand? So from a business point of view, it's absolutely understandable, and they have each and every right to actually really look further into it. But there is no business that actually has a right to actually decline your sick leave. They can decline your annual leave according to business, what they need, right, to business needs. Definitely, you will actually get your annual leave approved whenever. That's completely fine. But sick leave, sick family responsibility, those two are emergency leaves. So they are actually not allowed legally to decline your leaves. They actually denied this. But I don't believe them, because even the family said that she had soiled herself at work because her leave was denied. That's really, really hectic. I've heard some really, really horrifying things about this company. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to actually get into it deeper. But that is why they need that unemployment to stay high, so that they can continue to mistreat workers. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You need to eat. You need a job. People are outside not having jobs, and you don't have that much with you. So you're going to stay. And the only thing is, the political parties and the government are getting incentive from this. Now, it doesn't only stop at unemployment being high. The ANC, or let's say the GNU now, has underfunded CCMA, which means if she actually did take her sick leave, as she should, she would have gotten back, and she would have gotten a warning, or worse, a hearing where she is going to be dismissed. If you are unfairly dismissed, you need to take your case to the CCMA, right? If you get there and you're going to be given a date on when you actually come back, and they will actually contact your employer, and will tell them that, okay, Asamahle came here, and this is what she actually is saying, so we need you at this date. So it's been underfunded, which means you will get there, and there probably aren't any lawyers that are going to be available for you, to actually represent you. And if, for instance, you are a African person that needs an interpreter, that is also money. So if it's underfunded, that means that there aren't any readily available interpreters, and you will probably get a date 3 months time on something as simple as unfair dismissal, right? Okay, let me not say it's something simple, but like in this, if your leave, like your sick leave, was rejected, it should just be a straightforward thing, because it's illegal, you understand? But there are some unfair dismissals where it's really, really tricky, and depending on how much money your employer is, it can really drag. So for instance, like, well, okay, you're going to get it 4 months. What are you going to do in this 4 months? Because you are still technically fired. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So all of those things work together. This is why I always have to constantly repeat that we have a billionaire as a president. So interests zakhe serve the private entity, even though he is in government. His priorities do not lie with the people, including the people that voted for him in power. This is why these companies cough up millions, to actually make sure that they still are on top of their game. Now we've lost a soul. And that specific company, okay, I've also heard that it doesn't stop there. I think it's someone said 6-story building, 6 if not 8, between the two. But they are not allowed to actually take elevators or lifts, because they need to lose weight. I really wish I was making this up. There's even an ex-employee that had issues with her legs because she had to walk so many times. The most ridiculous was even on the stairs, when you're using the stairs, you're not allowed to greet each other. You're not allowed to look at each other. You are just supposed to just look down and use the stairs and leave. They don't have any cupboards or, those small drawers that you usually have like next to your desk and everything so that you put everything. Nope. They don't have any fridges available for them or their food. It was a lot. And I was like, ooh. And so many people. Some people left there with really heavy like mental health issues. There are so many people that actually had a lot to say about that specific company, but it's not that specific company only. It's a lot of these private companies. And this is why it is so important for us, and I will also do it on this channel as well, to actually really break down what these political parties entail in their missions, okay, and in their manifestos, because a lot of them actually want us to go back to the DOP system. That's what a lot of people are not actually, like, you see, even with this specific company, if bengazobabhatala abantu babanike ibhotile yewine, that is literally what a lot of these billionaires want. They want slaves. And the government is going to be okay with you being a slave because they can be able to pocket some change from those exact companies because they are their friends. And like, oh man, I would. And when I think about the government and what it's actually really doing to us, I really get so depressed because it really is depressing. It's so depressing because these are also the same people that are sabotaging the rail track system because they bought trucks. If we have a working railway, that means that, their businesses fail. So they need to make sure that we constantly are paying so much in petrol. We are paying so much riding taxis and buses because bona banetruck efuneka zehle zenyuka noku kutya kufanele uba kuhamba nazo netrain. Government. When I tell you that the government entities and the private entities are together, they are. They are. The government was saying that they are not able to actually provide any jobs. This was obviously before March and before this whole thing of the 10,000 labor inspectors that are going to be hired soon, so that they can be able to, to get into these businesses and look into it. They were saying that the private sector is going to give us jobs. TFG is going to close, I think, 200 of its stores, its physical stores, right? 200 or some, but it's a very large number. Because a lot of people are shopping online. This is the private sector that apparently the government is waiting on to give us jobs. But it's taking jobs, which would then increase the unemployment rate, which would then give these employers that currently have anyone that they're employing so much ammunition to treat us like crap. So much ammunition. We're going to have a lot of dinadladas, and sometimes they won't necessarily pass away in the physical sense, but mental health wise they are not going to be okay. There are so many people that entered workspaces right, and they actually ended up not good at all because of horrible work environments. So yeah, that's where we'll actually end for today, with regards to the government, unemployment, and what this tragedy that has just... Oh, did you guys see those screenshots? I can't, if it was TikTok, I'd be able to know where to put it, but there were also some screenshots that were actually circulating around. Same company that are threatening people to actually give them warnings if they don't actually go to the funeral, because it's a bad look for them. This is a horrifying press that they've got. And Labor law hasn't even said much about it. Department of Labor hasn't said much about it. Hey, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And please do look out for the next video.